Hello, ladies and gentlemen, dudes and dudettes, Patreon patrons, YouTube subscribers, and anyone who generally stumbles across these videos. Welcome back to another exciting edition of Sketchbook Tours with me, Johnston Blackhorse, and this is another one of my sketchbooks. And as you can see, it's a pretty big one. And I think out of the whole stack of my sketchbooks, I'm trying to go as chronologically as I can, but the problem is I never date my sketchbooks, so I don't know what order they're in, so I'm just more or less going by quality here. And from the last video, I think this sketchbook came after the last sketchbook in the previous video, so here we go. This is a fairly, I can't remember what year could have been. 2000, 2004, 2005, well, mid 2000s, we'll say. It's a pretty interesting design. I was thinking about, I don't know, playing around with an idea for like beginning a graphic novel of some sort, and there is really no backstory behind this. I just wanted to create something cool and effective. As you can see, is like a pretty intense chick holding a gun, and just threw a title on there that said Pulse, and there's really no backstory behind it. I just wanted something that wanted to draw something that looked cool and effective. And here we have a pretty cocky looking guy. He's shirtless and got some pants on, and I don't know if you can see it here clearly, but again, it's Pulse, Pulse down here. And I guess this was going to be like another character in the series. And here we have just a random dude with a cybernetic eye. Oh, this one is somewhat like this sketch in particular has somewhat of a backstory to it. I was going to start doing like pretty grim renditions of fairy tale characters, and as you can probably tell, this was going to be somewhat of a Pinocchio type story arc. And his deal is that he's a pretty wicked character, and he pretty much goes about killing people in order to fulfill some sort of like evil spell or prophecy, just to become a real person. But yeah, that was the story behind this. It never like really got farther than the conceptual sketch phase, because during the time like doing these sketches, I was working as a graphic designer and animator for a casino slot machine company here in Vegas that produced graphics and animation assets for video slot machines. So that being that was my day job, like I didn't really have time to really just work on my own personal projects all that much. So any idea I had never really got past the conceptual sketch phase. Here we just have some marker and pencil sketches. Kind of a face structure study. Just this is me when I was just practicing. Somewhat of a sketch here. You can barely see it, but I never really completed it. Here's a little. I don't know if you can really see it all too clearly. This is supposed to be me, and then this is a high school friend of mine, and we were thinking about coming up with our own like little battle comic, but never really got too far. Actually, we did start animating a bit of it. Well, I started animating a bit of it. Sadly, that animation is just lost to time and the internet ether, wherever it may be. But That was pretty fun to work on, but you know, life always gets in the way. Here we have just an anatomical study, just uh, practicing my anatomy and muscle structure. Here we have, I guess, another like comic of me. As you can see, I used to have pretty short hair, kept it pretty uh, shortcut. I'm not sure what. Oh, yeah. I can't. Let me just explain what's going on here. Just minding my own business. Look to the side. I see something interesting. Next panel, you see a pair of well, a woman's breasts. Of course, they're clad in a shirt, and I find this pretty shocking. And I don't know what's going on in this panel. I think this might be just more of a close. Oh yeah, yeah, it's a close up, and the shape you see here is like a little bit of a notepad and a pencil here because she's a waitress taking my order. And as you can see, I'm just being a lecherous dope. Yeah, I never really did anything like this in real life, but is something where that my mind always goes to. But that's why we create drawings. That's why we create art, is just to fulfill or like just plot out a fantasy we might have in our head that we never dare attempt in real life. And just having a form of artwork to just express those thoughts is just really satisfying. And here we have a badass, like toned uh, woman with a bunch of guns strapped to her. And as you can see, she's token or sparking up a smoke. And I think this is a really light, rough sketch of just a guy walking through a post-apocalyptic landscape, kind of like a morning after type deal. Here we have a few more face or head structure studies, some shading studies, anatomical structure practice, all that good stuff. Next page. I should really get around to finishing some of these. This is just another like random comic. I would do random comics every now and then, and eventually I started doing like daily comics of my day to day life, and hopefully, well, I should get around to it sometime soon. I'll post those up on Patreon for anyone who's interested in seeing them. But this is a pretty interesting storyline. Well, it's not that interesting. It's just somewhat comical and stupid. But here we have like a couple or a trio of food mascots. Just three dudes wearing food costumes. One of them states, "This job sucks." Yeah, but it beats. Uh, yeah, but it beats hard labor. And then like there's rumbling in the background. This guy turns. What's that noise? And he exclaims, "Holy shit!" And the rumbling turns out to be some very obese fellows chasing after these guys in food mascot costumes. I should have really tried to complete this just so you could have gotten the full effect. And here you see like they all scream run, or this guy screams run. And yeah, that's yeah. My mind goes to some pretty weird places. Oh, sweet! Here we have a giantess type figure. If I can get the whole thing in the shot. There we go. So like kind of like Attack of the 50-foot swimsuit model. Oh, shoot. Come on. There's a close up. And you just kind of scroll down and see these guys just marveling at what's going on. Of course, it'd probably be more effective if we zoomed in on these guys first, just wondering what the hell they're like worried about, and then you pull back and see the full spectacle of what the hell's going on. Anyway, oh, here we have another sketch. I think I had a somewhat of a storyline for this character. Oh, yeah, her name is Venus. Anyway, she's armless, as you can see, but she has these things on her shoulders, which also manipulate these mechanical devices, which operate as her um, appendages. And I'm currently working on a sketch very similar to this, because looking at the results of my genre poll that I put up, um, people want, as far as I can tell, sci-fi action and pinups. So I'm currently working on a sketch to suit some of those interests, and I'll post that sometime soon on my Patreon. Here we have blue pencil sketches of just some. I guess this chick is got some superpowers or something. This guy in some sort of kung fu pose looks like he might have some electrical powers, and this chick over back here is just kicking ass. Here we have a dude in a fighting pose. Number 38. Hold on. Oh, we got number 37 over here. I think this is a sketchbook where I was numbering the pages by incorporating a number somewhere in the sketch of each page. So this would be 39. It looks like I just threw that in there haphazardly. 40. Another haphazard. Did I actually just throw that in there? I guess I did. I don't know. Some days you have it, some days you don't. I guess that's in reference to my ability to draw this particular day. Here we have some female faces. Just practicing how to draw the ladies. And number 41. Have another lady's face, female muscle structure, 42 on her shoulder. Couple blue sketches. Wow. It was like when I first started working on sketchbooks, I just wasted a lot of this negative space. It's just there's so much more um, real estate I could have used just to throw in a whole bunch of other stuff. But then, like the only time I would really fill a whole page and not really worry about it is just like on loose copy paper. When when I sketched in a sketchbook, I got that somewhat of stage fright. Just like when you have a sketchbook, you feel like each page has to have something like amazing on it, and uh, these first sketchbooks just seem to have just very generic like hands and gestures and things of that nature, and I just like tend to waste a lot of space. I think just because it's so daunting and intimidating to just want to fill a sketchbook from front to back, and especially with the size of the sketchbook. Like I guess back then I was somewhat intimidated to try to fill that personal need. Do we have some ballpoint pen sketches? This is something I would often do a lot of the time. Also, hey, there's number 47's right there. This is something I would often practice a lot of the time is just sketching with a pen, like any sort of pen, like a ballpoint pen or a felt tip pen. Drawing with a pen, just having that mindset where you're drawing with something permanent, with permanent ink, just gives you that sense that each line you put down is gonna just be there forever. So like it forces you to make less mistakes, fewer mistakes. Like yeah, like it's kind of sketchy, but for the most part, just like drawing with a pen just forced me to be more confident about the lines I would throw down. Here we have a guy in body armor, just suited up, number 48 on his chest. Oh, if you hear some noises in the background, I got Rooster Teeth Animated Adventures just playing in the background on my laptop here. Just something to watch and listen to as I get about to working a bit more. Here we have another figure of a guy. Looks like he's got some sort of design on his person, maybe like another suit, or maybe they're like dragon stripes or something. I don't quite remember, but it might be a suit. I don't know. Maybe tattoos. I can't remember. These are really light blue pencil sketches. Another guy just decked out in body armor, rough pose. Ah, guys fighting with samurai swords and bokens, wooden swords. Like one of my favorite things to do is just playing around with like composition and extreme angles and extreme foreshortening, and utilizing that in my animation is just one of the things that I just love doing. I wish I was able to keep a lot of my old animation sketches, like my rough animation stuff I just did for like me, my own personal um, exercises. But hoping to get back to that sometime in the near future. It's just some dude. Dreadlocks. There's another guy in body armor powering up or something. Dude's about to go Super Saiyan. Ah! You know what? Maybe I should just draw a comic and like do like a motion comic and just film it this way. Oh, sweet. Here we go. Just a whole page of faces. Just scan through a lot of these. Check them out. See anything you like, you let me know. Alright? Yeah, that looks cool. Yeah, the guy screaming there. Screaming face. Yeah. Oh, wait. This one's dated. 14 December '06. So yeah, I guess this was done in 14th of December 2006. Here we have like another just trying it out, just doing some sort of like weird storytelling through different art panels. As you can see, this guy looks pretty shocked and amazed, and this guy looks like he's powering up and come down. He's like got these slits for eyes, irises. Guess he's a demon of some sort. Spooky. Here we have like whoa, whoops, I missed one. Okay, here's another guy Looks like he's got no pupils. Maybe he's like some sort of superhuman. Also decked out in some sort of like protective garb or uniform. And here's a guy who just this guy was done. Looks like mostly in if I remember correctly, these were felt tip brush pens, or more likely, looks like it might have been the Prismacolor French Gray set that I think I threw away a few years ago because they had dried out. But yeah, like practicing stuff like this is just doing it in your spare time, just to get an idea. Once you get an idea for a pose in your head, like just flesh it out and everything. And here, like I just laid it all out with some rough marker work and went in there with a little more detail, especially with the shading on the face. Just a dude who's really deep in thought. He's contemplating life or just plotting some sort of evil, nefarious scheme to take over the world. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, yeah. Here we got like a really strong guy. Like I have to admit that this is somewhat derivative. I remember seeing this illustration by I believe it was Mad Joe Mad. I can't remember his full name, but I think he's just mostly known as Joe Mad. And there's an illustration that stuck like in my head, and I remember thinking back on that illustration by Joe Mad when drawing this. Oh, this page is hardly worth sticking around. Ooh, sexy ladies with no pupils. Yeah, just practicing some female poses, female body structure and anatomy. Oh man, I've come a long way since then. But all it takes is a lot of practice. If you want to get good at something, it's like you just gotta practice day in and day out. Like even like I said, if it's just like doing like a few random doodles here and there, because like through each doodle you do, there's like somewhat of a discovery of how to go about things. Like you teach yourself certain techniques that really stick with you. And everyone who's ever asked me like how I go about drawing, some of them have like expressed that they're wanting to know my secret. Well, like, what's my secret? How did I learn how to draw so good? Like, what makes me such a good artist? And there really is like no actual secret to it. It's just just love for the craft and dedication. You have to be dedicated um, to creating. You got to be dedicated to the art. You got to be dedicated to the pursuit to want to get better at something. And if you want to get better at art, well, it's like the secret, if at all, is just it's really simple, and all it is just practice, 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 practice. Practice makes nearly perfect, is what I like to say. And when you're in like working in art, like you're never done practicing. Like you're never done learning. It's like you're always if you're as long as you're open to like learning new things and wanting to do like new things with your art, it's like you never stop learning. You can learn from other artists, or like I said, through your constant practice, you like just teach yourself certain techniques that you somehow stumble upon. Like a lot of what I do is just self-taught mostly. And one of the things I used to do back when I was a kid is just like just look over. how to draw books in bookstores. And like I said, I grew up in somewhat of a poor household. I never did without the necessities. Like my mother always made sure I was fed, that I was clothed, that I was cared for. But as far as like getting me art supplies and things like art books, like we could never really like afford that, and that's something that I understood. So I would just try to make do with what I could, just what I could find. Like if I could find a pencil just lying around at school, I would pick it up. And if there were some sheets of copy paper just lying around, okay, yeah, I stole some copy paper from school, but I would only take what I needed at the time. I wouldn't take like a whole ream or stack of paper. At least I, at least I stole responsibly. I never took more than I needed, is what I'm saying. But yeah, what was I getting at? Oh yeah, what I would do as a kid is like I would just sit in bookstores and just pour through all these art books and just try to remember as much as I could, just like looking and studying at all of these techniques that all of these other artists had discovered or taught themselves, and they were just sharing with the world through their books and illustrations. And I would just like whenever my mother would take um, us to, well, like all of us, her all of her kids to town, to the when we say go to town, like it was like the next town over in the next state, because growing up in a small rural town, like you didn't really consider it much of a town. But when we say go to town, like there was a bigger town over in the next state, and we'd go there, and they would have things like malls and bookstores. And whenever we'd go to the mall, like I would just go straight to the bookstore, just make a beeline toward that place, just find the map, find out where the bookstore is, and just head there. Hey, it's Vegeta. And like I said, I would just sit there that whole time, more or less, while my uh, mother and other siblings were out like doing shopping and just grabbing like other necessities. Like for the most part, I was just in the bookstore, just like looking at art books and studying, constantly studying, because I knew that couldn't take it. I couldn't take these books with me because I just simply couldn't afford it. And uh, this whole page is just dedicated to this one stamp. I guess that would that make me a stamp collector? Do I have to collect more than one stamp to be a collector of stamps? I don't know. And yeah, it's just oh, this is like a weird event that took place. I documented it in a in a little sketch. This weird mark or scar is starting to take shape on my neck. I wonder what it is. And yeah, like sometime back in 2006, 2007, I had this weird mark just start forming on my neck, just right over my Adam's apple, and it had this really specific like symmetrical pattern on it. And to me, like it looked somewhat of like a fox, like the face of a fox. It kept getting darker after this, but then after a while, it just cleared up. So I don't know, I don't know what it is or what it was. But here we have a pretty cool sketch of just like a dude just kind of walking down a dark alley, and as you can see from this texture of the pen work that I utilized, it looks like it's raining. And that's pretty cool. Like it's just, yeah, these little things that you can just teach yourself just by playing around. And as you can see, these are just more ballpoint pen sketches. And like I said, it's like good. It's good to once you get comfortable enough, you can pick up a ballpoint pen and start practicing. And like I said, like knowing that you're working with a permanent medium. Like it forces you to make less mistakes because you're of that mindset that each line you lay down has to be like it has to be very specific. And it in time it does build up your confidence. So like once you get to that point, you can just start cranking out drawings a lot quicker, faster, and especially like when you're inking. Like, oh man, when I first started to ink, it was just such a stressful thing because like with the shaky hands, like you mess up one line and you just mess up the whole piece. And it could have been like hours or maybe a couple of days that you were working on a specific drawing, and then you get down to the inks, and as you're inking, like your hand shakes, and then that's it. That piece is done. I guess there's always correction fluid, but like again, I at the time I couldn't afford it, so like once I screwed up a piece, that was it. That was it for that one. Yeah, there's just a lot more pen sketches here. I'm gonna go ahead and like uh, end it, stop this video here because we're running over 30 minutes, and we'll just continue with this sketchbook tour next week on this same sketchbook, and have this be a two-parter. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Sketchbook Tours, and we'll get back to this sketchbook next week. So if you like this video, if you like going down memory lane with me and my sketchbooks and just enjoyed hearing what I had to say about my artwork and about what you can do with your art, just go ahead, leave a like, leave a comment, and if you want to support more projects like this, and if you want to keep me drawing on like the future projects that I'm working on, go ahead and visit my Patreon page. I'll leave that in the link below and check it out. And if you like what you see, just go ahead and click that button to become a patron. And we'll see what awesome things we can make from that. Anyway, this is Johnston Blackhorse, and I'll talk to you guys later. See ya. Let's see.